Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to sit with me for an hour and go through the NetSuite 2023.1 release highlights. So 2023.1 is the first release for the year. There's a lot of functionality that is within the solution that's come out specifically around wholesale distribution and around the WMS, around the packing station, some bits and pieces around some enhancements with Item 360 transaction, the cash 360 transaction view, as well as a few others. But predominantly, most of the actual changes that have come in the new release have been specifically around the wholesale distribution manufacturing piece. Small enhancements have come out around project management, not much around the accounting space this time. And the ones that have come out around accounting were all related to localizations for different countries like Brazil and the Philippines. So there's not much in the finance area. There's a few new products that have come out as well, but unfortunately, some of these new products are not available in the Australian market as yet. One of those is the AP automation tool that's been released into the US. So that is pretty much receiving invoices from your suppliers, reading those invoices into NetSuite, and then having supply bills created from those. So that will hopefully come in Australia in the next 6 months. The other one as well is if you are a workforce management sort of organization where you do a lot of rostering and time and attendance, there's those elements as well that have been released into the US market through an acquisition. That is also coming into the Australian market in the next 6 months to a year as well, coupled with the product configurator. So if you're an organization that is using configurator, so for instance, when I bring different elements together that drives an actual configuration of a solution and then the price of that, they've also made an acquisition in that area. And that product's released in the US and coming also to Australia in the next 6 months to a year. So there are a lot of changes coming in the product, a lot of acquisitions from NetSuite that are rolling into the Australian market in the next year, as well as features that have come out in the new release around functionality updates. So let me get started. So the first one I'll talk about very quickly is just a general enhancement, if you can see my screen, around the global search. So in the global search now, besides just searching for even a customer or an item or a supplier or anything of that nature, anytime you actually put in a search in the actual global search, it also finds the page results as well for that and the menu paths associated to that. So when you do use global search, you'll see that enhancement there available. There's nothing you need to do. It's just already available in the environment today. So when you get upgraded, so that's great. The Item 360 dashboard is just an extension to what you see if you're on SuiteSuccess, where you have the Item 360 tab on the actual item record. This is now a specific transaction called the Item 360, and it's actually a Suite app that you can download for free from the Suite App Store. And what it allows you to do is look at all the current transactional data that may impact an actual item. So what that means is inventory and looking at the ins and outs of product coming in and out for that item, purchasing information as well, so showing you what open purchases are there, sales in terms of showing you what open sales orders there are, what potential order delays there are, particular sales orders based on your inventory levels, and what stock is coming in either from a purchase order or an inbound shipment. And if it's actually an assembly item, you'll show the information pertaining to the actual manufacturing data of that. I will give a very quick demo on this in a sec as well. So that's why you see on the up here the item overview. You click on it, it gives you information around alerts for that item. You can search for an item for that particular subsidiary and filter on that, as well as filtering on the location. Then you can tab into the individual elements and drill down into it. So that's the Item 360 view. The next one is one that came out in the last release, but not many people I've heard have heard about it. Hence why I've now stated and brought this one in, which is called the Cash 360 dashboard view. It's also a Suite app that you can download for free from the Suite App Store. And what it is a cash management dashboard solution that monitors the AR and the AP and the available cash in real time based on open transactions. What it allows you to also do is bring in additional account codes and classify them as categories in order to view the relevant inflows and outflows and forecasts for your actual cash whilst giving you some graphical representation in terms of how your cash forecast looks like, whilst incorporating your bank balance, your AP and your AR. So I'll give you a very quick demo of that solution as well. And I'll do that literally right now. So that's the first two demos I'll show you, is the item 360 and the actual the cash flow 360. So just bear with me whilst I log into NetSuite. Just load that. Okay, so if I share my screen, you should now see NetSuite pop up. All right, so I'm just logged in as an account manager, and everyone should have the Suite Apps tab on their dashboard. So if you just do a quick 360, you'll be able to see the item 360 dashboard, the cash 360 dashboard, and also the other one that was released a few releases ago, which is the project 360 dashboard as well. So if I jump into the actual tab, which is pretty much just going into the reports, when you installed it, it's right down the bottom here where you can see item 360 degree, item 360 view, and you click on it, it takes you into this transaction. And then once you're in here, you're able to therefore search on the relevant items, filter it based on a particular subsidiary, as well as look at it for a particular location. And then once you've actually selected it, it will give you the actual information pertaining, be the item overview information and any imagery that's tied to the actual product. If you click on the next tab down, be the inventory tab, it will give you information pertaining to inventory. So let me just do that. And then you'll be able to see the inventory for every individual location. If it's a lot numbered product, or if it's a product that is stored in a bin, or there's inbound transactions or outbound transactions, or transfer orders or intercompany transfer orders or planned transfer orders from demand planning, you'll be able to see those information in here as well, and you'll be able to drill down and take a look at that. So it's not a bad quick view where you can look at the item, the inventory of the item, what's on hand, what's committed, what's available, what's on order, allocated, as well as what total demand you've got, or overdue demand, or or overdue on order as well. You can click in to look at the inventory history of that as well. So you can just click into the history and it'll take you into the actual inventory history for that particular item based on a particular date. So if I go back to the 2nd of January, I'll get a lot of information pertaining to the inventory history in terms of the orders, purchase order receipts, sales order fulfillments, and the rest in this particular view that I can also filter as well based on date and type. So I can just look at purchase orders or sales orders and filter that way as well. If I keep going down and go to the purchasing information, I'll be able to see any open purchase orders and then be able to click and take me into those individual purchase orders. If it's a manufactured assembly item, I'll be able to click on that. But in this case, it's a purchase or inventory item, so I won't have any information on manufacturing. And if I click on sales, I'll be able to look at what open sales orders there are for a particular location, for a particular customer, as well as look at open quotes or estimates as well for that actual item. All right, so that's just a very quick view of the item 360, very quick and easy to install. And then you've also got very high level reports around the volume and sales for that particular item as well. On the Cash 360, right, which is down here, once you've installed it, it actually gets put into the Financials 360. You've got two elements to that, right? First is the account category, where you actually nominating particular accounts based on a particular category. So, for instance, I've set up one category called, I think it was, once it comes in, overtime expense. And for that overtime expense, I've allocated that as an actual outflow transaction that I want to be using in the actual forecast. You can nominate any other account categories as well, outside of the standard, revenue or income or payables related transactions that are the ins and outs for the cash flow, as well as bank related transactions as well. So if I go back to the actual Cash 360 dashboard, the first part, as you will notice when I jump in, is the actual dashboard view. It's just loading. So on the dashboard view, it gives me a quick view of the total bank balance, the AP and the AR, and then I can also drill down into any particular invoices, approve invoices, view bills, view the AR, AP aging, and the like. And then I can also take a quick look at the actual cash forecast. In this case, it's based on a monthly view, and I can look at the ins and outs and the forecast of that. So if I click on the actual preferences and I want to change the actual the forecast period to be in 12 weeks instead of having it over 3 months, I can do that as well. And if I save the report and go back into the Cash 360 dashboard view, I'll be able to see now the actual dashboard in accordance to the 12 weeks view that I selected. So you have the options to choose it either based on a weeks, based on a month, 3 months, 6 months, and a year, and then I can look at the ins and outs as well. If I click and drill down into the next level, this is now taking me into the actual cash flow forecast in more of a grid or table view, where I can see for those 12-week periods that I've selected in my preference, I can see the actual opening balances, the inflows and the outflows, as well as the ability to drill down into the actual transactions as well, and to show me what actually makes up the transactions for that particular period that I've selected, in this case, accounts receivable. All right, so I have the drill down capabilities as well, and I can look at what my cash flow forecast looks like. You can notice in the actual preferences when I set up, I also had the outflow element there where I had overtime expense, where I've actually included other accounts in here as well as account categories to incorporate that in the cash forecast as well. So that's just the Item 360 view, as well as the Cash 360 view as well. So let me jump back into the presentation again. Okay, so that's the Cash 360. Now, I'll be moving after this into more of the WD, wholesale distribution, warehousing sort of changes, because predominantly 2023 has been a lot of changes around in this particular area. One is the actual Smart Count solution. Now, the Smart Count solution is a licensed module, effectively. It actually comes with the WMS, but you can buy it also in standalone. I think it's like $500 something per month with your discounts on top. So what this actual app allows you to do is it allows you to actually do inventory counts in real time without actually needing to freeze any transactions or freeze the whole warehouse in order to do it. So what it enables you to do is you can still be running your operations, but at the same time, you can actually use Smart Count to do specific counts in the actual warehouse whilst you're actually performing your duties and your activities. So what it does, it actually keeps a running total of the transactions that are happening whilst you're doing the count. And then from that, it basically flags those accordingly, and then you approve the account at the end of it. So you can nominate a Smart Count based on a particular saved search. So for instance, a saved search can be generate a Smart Count for products that haven't been touched in the last 2 months. And then that saved search can be used to then push to the SCM mobile app, which is what you see on the screen, in order to generate the actual and to execute the count. The Smart Count requires the mobile suite app solution in order to execute the actual Smart Count. The mobile suite app solution is a no-cost solution. It actually comes with the Smart Count solution. As I mentioned earlier, if you have the WMS NetSuite solution, Smart Count comes with it automatically. The other thing that the actual Smart Count allows you to do is enforce blind counts as well. So this is actually preventing displaying expected item quantities for a specific item or all items. So that means that when someone's actually doing the actual count, they're not actually seeing what the actual quantity is. They're actually having to do the actual count and confirm it on the fly. That's why it's called a blind count. It automatically also enables you to provide auto approvals. So there's also an approval process within the Smart Count solution, and the approvals can be configured automatically based on a variance for a particular item, bin or inventory location status. And then effectively, once the actual count's completed, you would go into the actual dashboard and then be able to view for all the individual counts for a particular location, including the items, all the actual variances or what the quantities were counted, as well as the count status, and then you approve those accordingly. So the value of having Smart Count is you can actually do counting inventory stock takes without needing to stop operations in the warehouse. So that's the Smart Count solution. And then from a dashboard perspective, you get your dashboard as well, which is specific to Smart Count, that shows you all the actual items that are pending count approvals, how many items are counted today, how many items need to be reviewed in terms of counts, and so on and so forth. And you also get notified by email for any other transactions that occur during particular Smart Counts as well. So the next actual component I'll be talking about today is the Ship Central solution. So the Ship Central solution is pretty much the SCM pack station. It's just been renamed, and they've added a lot more feature and functions to the actual solution. Now, the actual pack station solution requires the SCM mobile component and also is confined within the actual warehouse management solution. So the actual pack station, like I said, it's been renamed. It's a touchscreen driven solution. And they've added more functionality specific to the shipping processes within the actual solution. So if you do recall, and you've ever played with PackStation in the past, it was more about putting elements or putting product into cartons and boxes and then packing them up and sending them out the door. These days, with this new solution, that's why they're called the Ship Central, is they've now incorporated the shipping elements into it. So what they've done is they've actually integrated and connected with a solution called Ship Engine, which is pretty much a comparative solution to a Smart Freight or one of those Max Ship or other sort of solutions out in the market, which enables you to generate and execute in NetSuite the labels, synchronize the tracking IDs against the fulfillment, and view all the information in real time against the actual shipment fulfilled record, as well as the Ship Central. The other thing it enables you to do as well is the Ship Central solution is to distribute your shipping costs. So, for instance, if you're shipping 3 orders, as an example, and I'll show you this in a few slides a bit later, and each and every one of those has different shipping costs. Based on the carrier, because they weigh differently or their volume's different or whatever the actual calculation may be, you're able to distribute that cost based on the quantity, the weight, or the volume in this solution now, which is great. It enables you to also reprint and shipping labels as well. And also void labels as well. So as I'll go through it, I'll be able to talk you through some of the actual features. So in the shipment view, for instance, when you're actually shipping either a sales order or a transfer order, and you've actually scanned the sales order, or you've gone into the sales order, and now you're packing the actual items, you now have a shipment view now that is tied to that. And within the shipment view, you're actually allocating the actual orders to a particular shipment. And then once you're actually in the shipment, you actually have the facilities to either print the labels, void the labels, but you also have the ability to shop for rates as well. So depending on how you've set up the configuration on the shop, on the label side, or how you've configured the relevant carriers, it will actually go in and look at, when you press the shop for rates, come in and view the different rates for the different shipping methods that are in NetSuite that are synchronized to the Ship Engine solution that NetSuite have connected to. So as part of that, once the actual product have been shipped and the the label IDs and the tracking numbers are generated, as well as also displayed that have come back from the relevant carriers as well. So this is all inherent in the NetSuite solution. As well as that, once the actual shipment has been completed, it will automatically update the shipment, when the status on the item fulfillment record to shipped, as well as show you the individual packages and their individual tracking numbers and the shipment costs as well, based on what's come back from Ship Central. Now, the shipping cost distribution component is where you've actually gone in and set up how do you want to actually distribute the costs. So in the example I used earlier, I have 3 particular sales orders, all tied to one particular shipment. Each have an actual different weight and a different quantity. And in this case, the actual distribution, of the cost is based on 100% quantity allocation. So that means that it's going to be distributing the actual total cost of the 51.33 amount into the relevant orders based on the item quantity. But like I said earlier, you can also do it based on the weight and the dimensions being the volume as well. So does Ship Central, I have a question, integrate with Australia carriers such as Aussie Post? The answer is yes. So if you just Google Ship Central, there's literally a pricing page on the Ship Central site. You'll be able to see, Star Trek, Toll, Aussie Post, and the usual, suspect characters, carriers on there. They have an interesting pricing structure. So they price based on how many times you've shopped for the rates. They also price based on how many labels you've printed, and also I think they and also how many manifests. So yeah, take a look. The pricing pretty transparent, but it's all in there. And then once the actual the shipment has been completed, you'll also be able to see on the fulfillment details all the actual information pertaining to that actual shipment. So you've got the shipment number, the tracking number, the dollar cost, and they all actually update the financials as well, and the profit margin on the sales orders as well. So warehouse management enhancements. So what they've done in the warehouse management side, the first change they've done is they're now supporting multi-level kits. So in the past they weren't able to handle kits. Now the way it works is what they've introduced is in the example that I've got down here, where I've got an iPhone 14 bundle that has the iPhone 14, the power adapter, the case, and the cable as an example, as an actual bundle. Once I've placed the sales order for that, in WMS, it actually now creates individual pick tasks pertaining to the individual elements that need to be picked, instead of actually having the individual bundle that needs to be picked. So that's the first change they've done, is actually they've split up the individual pick tasks based on the components and not just on the actual parent kit like it used to be in the previous releases. So that's the first change that they've made. The second change they've made is making it easier for the warehouse manager to complete pick tasks in a single update. Right, so this is now where you're in the actual pick task. You'll now see there's an actual status element where you can quickly change the status from ready to done if need be in the solution. The other thing they've enabled you to do as well is to flag bin empty button. So they've created a bin empty button in WMS on the mobile, which basically enables during the picking process to indicate when an actual item quantity to be picked is not able, because there's either insufficient quantity or there's damaged product in the bin or whatever. So as a result, in the actual in the mobile device, you're able to now set up reason codes, and then from those reason codes, tie that to the actual solution where you're actually saying the bin is empty, and then you're notifying why you're blocking the bin or why the bin is empty based on the relevant reasons. That then flags to the warehouse manager that there's issues with this particular bin, and maybe you want to execute a smart count based on a particular search to generate somebody to go and check that bin and make the relevant count and manage the relevant damaged products in that particular bin. So that's the bin empty button to manage both damaged stock and when there's issues in the particular bin when there's no quantities. And as well as that, you can generate email notifications as well. So for instance, anyone hits that button, they get an email notification plus a reminder on their dashboard if they're a warehouse manager. Okay, so the next one is the partial pick automation. So what they've done here is that they've actually created a script that runs in the background and for enabling basically pick tasks to be automatically completed when they are partial picked. So in the event where, unless you may want to run this at the end of the particular day where you may want to close out all your open picks because there's not enough inventory, doesn't mean you can't generate new picks for it. It just closes the open picks for a particular time frame instead of having to manually go in there and trying to clean up all the individual pick tasks when you haven't fulfilled the full pick. So that's part of the solution in 2023.1. So that covers the highlights of WMS. So I've talked about Smart Count, I've talked about the Ship Central, talked about WMS, and now I'll also talk about the mobile enhancements, which also ties into the either the manufacturing mobile solution or the WMS mobile solution. So what they've actually done in the solution is they've made it more flexible to actually enable particular columns, particular bits of information to be added now to the configuration of the actual solution. So in the past, what you saw in the actual mobile device was pretty standard and you couldn't change it. Now you actually have the ability to add in additional page elements, additional columns, additional information based on the different pages on the actual mobile devices. So that's what they've done. So if you actually go into the mobile page and click in the page elements, you'll be able to add in particular new columns. So in this example, I've added the new column called item instructions, and as a result, I have that ability to add that particular column into the actual mobile device when I'm actually searching for an inventory product on the mobile now. So this, like I said, provides the ability to add new columns on the mobile device to provide more information if need be, compared to the previous releases you weren't able to do that. So the next part of that covers the SCM mobile side. Like I mentioned, it's all very, very heavy WMS, Smart Count, distribution related. But now I'll focus on the item recommendations part, which is new functionality that's come out that they're now beginning to incorporate AI and machine learning into the solution, which is quite exciting. So what they've done is they've now enabled intelligent recommendations during the sales process. So whether you're entering an opportunity or an estimate or a sales order, and you've turned on intelligent recommendations, which is relatively easy to turn on. It's literally just an enable features. But there's only one caveat. You need to have a fair bit of history, I think around about 12 months worth of history, in order for the solution to actually, turn on. You can't actually turn it on unless you've got enough history, because it actually goes away and checks the data before you actually turn it on in enable features. But once it is actually turned on, what it does, it enables you to go in. So here I am in an opportunity record, for instance, and I'm able to. There's a new button called Intelligent Recommendations, and when I actually click that particular button, it pops up and shows me all the historical, bits of information of what the customer bought in the past, what the customer what other customers in terms of similar transaction history have bought in the past. It also enables and shows alternate items as well, that potentially if there's no inventory of, it will suggest it's alternate items or substitute items as well on the actual opportunity estimate, or estimate being quote, and sales order transactions. So once you've actually hit the intelligent recommendations button, this is the pop-up that comes up and then basically shows you the individual items, how it derived the actual recommendation, for instance, buy again, or, and also connects, by the way, to if you have shopping B2B solution as well. It also incorporates those elements as well. That's why you're seeing cart items. But if they've created and had items that have been placed in the past, you'll be able to see them as well as purchase history. Now, the other element as well is, so that was just at the header level of it, where you're actually looking at, for a particular customer, show me the intelligent recommendations. You also have the ability to do it at the item level as well. So if I actually added in an item on a quote or a sales order or an opportunity record, I can click the intelligent recommendations button, and in that case, it will actually show me what the alternate items that could be sold as well, right? So this is an event where there's no stock of this particular 10,002 product. It will show me the alternate items plus what available quantities there are as well for it. So that's the alternate item side of things. So that's pretty much, in a nutshell, from a very, very high level standpoint, all the actual scouring through the documents of the release and finding stuff that is applicable to us in the Australian market. They're the main ones that have come out. So yeah, if you have any questions, I know there's Eric and Douglas have asked some questions. Do you have any other questions before I wrap this up? You can also, like I said, for those who don't know the new release, it's relatively simple to get the documentation. Just go into the portlets and add it in. So let me show you for those who don't know, and you're able to get the full documentation and see what actually in the new release. So for the new customers out there who have just come onto NetSuite and experiencing their first upgrade, you'll be able to see. Let me just show you quickly. So I've just jumped back into NetSuite for the time we've got. So if I go into the dashboards, into the main homepage, over here you've got a new release feature button, which you can add from the personalize. If you go across, you'll be able to see that if you click on a new release, it will add that particular portlet to your actual page. So if you go down and take a look, so the workforce management, like I mentioned, it's not available in Australia. It's all part of the Suite People solution out of the US. But I believe very much this is going to be coming to Australia because of the acquisition that they've purchased, which was the old roster and Ross solution in Australia, which was the time and attendance solution and the rostering solution that was here, that they've now purchased and added it to the actual solution. So that's what that one's about. The analytics warehouse solution, I haven't spoken about that today. It's a warehouse management solution that is the Oracle warehouse management solution that they're now trying to bundle and show that it's now available in the actual product. But yeah, it's just using it's equivalent of a Power BI, but the Oracle version of it. And you still need the ODBC connector to push data across into it. And then the warehouse operation side of it. So if you click on the release preview guide, it will take you into pretty much the full-blown documentation, right? And you'll be able to click and take a read through it. The other great thing, so this is all the actual guide, right? And it shows you the information. But the way I usually do it as well is actually go into Suite Answers. And actually what I do is I just type in the actual 2023.1. And in there, you'll get a lot of videos and a lot of content, right? So if I type in 2023.1, hit enter, there's actually a lot of recordings and a lot of videos that have been done by the product development team. So for instance, I haven't spoken too much about quality management because most of the customers that I knew were coming today haven't got quality management. So if you're interested in quality management, the Suite app, there's information on that. All the WMS stuff that I've spoken about today, which also includes the setup, right, side of it, to add those new features in there. You can just watch the video. Literally, I think it's like a 10, 15-minute video. Go in and watch it, and you'll be able to see how to set it up. 38-minute video. But a lot of you can just jump through it. So yeah, I haven't spoken too much about the fixed asset side because literally the fixed asset changes that have been added, literally splitting an asset. It's just making the ability to split an asset into multiple assets a lot easier than what it was in the previous releases. Here's a Ship Central, the mobile enhancement, the intelligent item recommendation. They're all videos. Take a look at it at your own volition. Question: does Crash 360 from Trevor forecasting app allow for budgeting information to be utilized? Unfortunately not, Trevor. They haven't incorporated that. It basically uses I think the averages of the actual income or the payables in the past in order to drive what the expected payables is going to be and expected revenue is going to be, unless you've gone in and added manually different additions, whether they're from opportunity records or from what expected sales. You can add manual kind of entries into there as well. So yeah, no, it doesn't incorporate the budget in NetSuite. Sorry. Any other questions? No. Well, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day. I hope this was useful. When the next release comes out in 2023.2, which I think will be around about the September-October timeframe, we'll have another one of these, and we'll dig into it. So hopefully it was worthwhile, and hopefully it all made sense. And yeah, hopefully anything comes out on the elements that are coming out. Like for instance, if the workforce management side or the AP automation side, if that all comes out in the next when it does, we'll definitely send out an email blast to let you guys know. So thank you very much for taking time out of your day, and yeah, take care.